Perfectionism is often praised in our society. It's frequently associated with hard work, high standards, and an insatiable drive to succeed. However, beneath the surface of perfectionism often lies a rigid, unhealthy mindset that can be detrimental to your mental health, personal relationships, and professional success. Perfectionism is not about striving for excellence. It's an all consuming fear of making mistakes, falling short, or being judged harshly by others. It often begins in childhood and follows individuals into adulthood, influencing their behaviour in both personal and professional settings. In this video, we'll explore the roots of perfectionism, its impact on adulthood, and strategies for overcoming it. I'm Jo Banks. I've been a professional executive business coach for 15 years, and I'm sharing what I know. Before we begin, while perfectionism may feel too ingrained and challenging to change, shifting towards a healthier, more balanced mindset is possible with awareness and the right tools. How perfectionism begins. The childhood roots. Perfectionism often takes root in childhood, shaped by family dynamics, societal expectations, and personal experiences. It's essential to understand how early experiences can contribute to the development of perfectionistic tendencies. So let's take a look at those. Number 1, parental expectations and criticism. Children who grow up in environments where high standards and expectations are the norm may develop perfectionistic tendencies as a way to meet those demands. Parents who are overly critical, demanding, or focused on achievement can unintentionally teach their children that their worth is tied to success. When children consistently receive praise for perfect results but face criticism for any mistakes, they often internalize the belief that being good enough is unacceptable. This can lead to an intense fear of failure and a relentless drive for perfection. Number 2, conditional love and approval. In some cases, children may feel that love and approval from their parents are conditional on their performance. For example, a child may feel that they're only valued or praised when they excel academically, in sports, or in other activities. This conditional love fosters the belief that self-worth is contingent on achievement, pushing children to strive for perfection to maintain the affection and validation from their parents, or teachers, or grandparents. Number 3, comparison to others. Children are often compared to siblings, peers, or even societal role models. If a child feels they are constantly being measured against others, they may adopt perfectionism as a coping mechanism. They might believe that by being perfect, they can outshine others and earn approval or admiration. This comparison-driven mindset can become deeply ingrained and difficult to shake in adulthood. Number 4, traumatic experiences. Childhood trauma, such as bullying, abuse, or neglect, can also contribute to perfectionism. Pretty much all the clients I work with who have complex PTSD from adverse childhood experiences often have crippling perfectionistic traits. In an attempt to regain control in an unpredictable environment, some children develop perfectionistic behaviours. They may believe that by being flawless, they can avoid negative outcomes or criticism, creating a protective barrier against them and further pain. How perfectionism impacts adulthood. Perfectionism doesn't simply disappear as people grow older. In fact, it often intensifies in adulthood, influencing both personal and professional lives. What once was an adaptive coping mechanism in childhood can become maladaptive in adulthood, creating a source of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. Perfectionism in personal lives. In personal relationships, perfectionists may struggle with vulnerability and intimacy. They often hold themselves and others to impossible standards, often leading to frustration, disappointment, and conflict. This can manifest in several ways. Number one, self criticism. Perfectionists are often their hardest critics. They magnify their mistakes and flaws, leading to feelings of inadequacy, shame, and guilt. This self criticism can erode self esteem and make it difficult to feel comfortable in their own skin. Number two, relationship struggles. Perfectionists may expect their partners, friends, or family members to meet unrealistic standards, which can obviously strain relationships. When others inevitably fall short of these expectations, it can lead to resentment and disappointment. Additionally, perfectionists may avoid vulnerability out of fear of being judged or rejected, making it hard to build deep, authentic connections. Number three, fear of failure. In personal pursuits such as hobbies or creative endeavours, perfectionists may be paralysed by the fear of not being good enough. This can lead to procrastination, avoidance, or abandoning activities altogether, depriving them of joy and fulfilment. If I can't do it brilliantly, I'm not going to do it at all. Perfectionism in professional lives. Perfectionism is particularly prevalent in professional settings where it can be both a motivator and a source of significant stress. While striving for excellence can lead to high levels of achievement, the perfectionistic mindset often leads to burnout and diminished productivity. So let's look at that in more detail. Number one, overworking and burnout. Perfectionists tend to overwork, believing that nothing they do is ever good enough. They may spend excessive amounts of time refining details or reworking tasks that are already completed to an acceptable standard. This can lead to chronic stress, exhaustion, and even burnout. Number two, fear of delegation. And I've got a video coming up on delegation in the very near future, so make sure you're subscribed. Perfectionists often struggle to delegate tasks because they fear that others won't meet their high standards. This often results in micromanagement. I'll have a video coming up on that too, which can include missed deadlines and strained relationships with colleagues or other employees. Number three, procrastination and indecisiveness. While it may seem counterintuitive, perfectionism can actually lead to procrastination. The fear of not doing something perfectly can prevent people from starting projects or making decisions. They may become stuck in a cycle of overanalyzing, delaying, or avoiding tasks to avoid potential failure. Number four, imposter syndrome. Many people struggle with imposter syndrome, feeling like they don't deserve their achievements and that they're constantly on the verge of being found out. This constant self-doubt can hinder career growth and lead to unnecessary stress and anxiety. Strategies for overcoming perfectionism. Overcoming perfectionism is not a quick or easy process. Changing deeply ingrained habits and beliefs requires time, patience, and practice. However, by gradually shifting your mindset and learning healthier coping mechanisms, it's possible to break free from those terrible shackles of perfectionism. So let's take a look at what we can do. Number one, acknowledge and challenge perfectionistic thoughts. The first step in overcoming perfectionism is recognizing when perfectionistic thoughts arise. These thoughts often involve what we call black and white thinking. For example, if it's not perfect, it's a failure. Or even catastrophic thinking. For example, if I make a mistake, everyone will think I'm incompetent. Identifying these types of thoughts and challenging them is key. When you find yourself doing this type of thinking, ask yourself if these thoughts are realistic or helpful. What would happen if these things weren't perfect? By questioning the validity of your thoughts, you often start to reframe your mindset. I recently made a video on how to manage negative thinking. It contains strategies that will help you identify the types of unhelpful thinking patterns you're using and how to overcome them to rewire your brain for more positivity. That would be really helpful if you know that you're a perfectionist. So I'll leave the link for that video below. Number 2, embrace mistakes and imperfections. I know that might feel way too out of your comfort zone, but one of the biggest fears of perfectionism is making mistakes. However, mistakes are a natural and essential part of learning and growth. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, try to see them as opportunities to improve and develop. Celebrate progress even if it's not perfect, and remind yourself that perfection is not the goal. Growth is. Number 3, set realistic goals and expectations. Perfectionists tend to set unrealistically high standards for themselves and others. Start by setting more achievable, realistic goals. Break larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps and allow yourself to accomplish each step without aiming for perfection. In professional settings, try focusing on getting things done really well rather than flawlessly. Number 4, learn to delegate and trust others. Trusting others to complete tasks is a key aspect of overcoming perfectionism, especially in professional environments. Start by delegating smaller tasks and gradually work your way up to larger responsibilities. Understand that people have different ways of working, and that doesn't mean that their output is inferior to yours. Learning to trust others' capabilities can reduce your workload and ease the pressure you place on yourself. Number 5, practice self-compassion. Perfectionists are often harshly critical of themselves. Instead of beating yourself up over perceived shortcomings, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the kindness and understanding you hopefully would offer a friend who is struggling. Remind yourself that no one is perfect and that you're doing your best. Over time, fostering this self-compassion can help reduce the stress and pressure associated with perfectionism. Number 6, set boundaries around work and your personal life. Setting boundaries is essential for managing perfectionism, especially when it comes to that work-life balance that we talk so much about. Learn to say no to unnecessary commitments or projects that will stretch you too thin. Prioritize your time and energy and allow yourself to rest and recharge without feeling guilty. In personal relationships, communicate your needs and expectations clearly and be willing to accept that things won't always go according to plan. Number 7, and again, I think I say this in every video, seek professional help. If perfectionism is significantly impacting your life, seek help from a coach like me or a therapist. It can be really beneficial. Cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, which is just one of the many effective tools I use to help people with perfectionism, is a particularly effective treatment for perfectionism as it helps individuals identify and challenge negative thought patterns and develop healthier coping strategies. The wrap up. Perfectionism often starts in childhood, influenced by parental expectations, conditional love, and societal pressures. While striving for excellence is admirable, perfectionism is a rigid and unrealistic mindset that can lead to anxiety, burnout, and dissatisfaction in both your personal and professional life. Overcoming perfectionism requires patience, practice, and self-compassion. By recognizing and challenging perfectionistic thoughts, setting realistic goals, embracing mistakes, and seeking support when needed, it's possible to break free from the cycle of perfectionism and live a more balanced, fulfilling life. What next? If you have anything you'd like to add to today's video, or you have any topics you'd like me to cover in future, please leave it in the comment section below. I read and respond to everything, and I really do love interacting with you all. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel with a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. Finally, thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your support. It really does mean the absolute world to me. Thank you.